you who looked at the agenda previously, we are still waiting one of our guests for today. So I'm going to go first. And it is a little bit out of order, and I'll tell you why, because my plan was to go last and kind of do a recap of the year. I know that there are some of you in here who have been to every single growth mastermind we've done. And for those of you who are in that boat, first of all, thank you. Second of all, some of this might be a little redundant, but I think it's always helpful to kind of get a little taste of what we've done year in review. We had a really awesome year this year, and I'm pretty proud of having you guys here. I'm proud of the speakers that we've had, and I just wanted to go through quickly and just touch upon each of them because I think it'll be something that could be useful for you. So first of all, in January, we actually opened up with Alex McAteer, who did an amazing job. And if you haven't, by the way, there's a point to all of this, just so you know. Almost every single one of these videos is on the YouTube channel. So if the goal of this is we obviously have had these speakers and many of you have been to all these sessions, but for those of you who haven't or would like to, kind of refresh yourself, I wanted to just give you an idea of what topics we covered, and all of this information there's a library online for you to actually go and access it. So Alex McAteer got up and he spoke really about geotagging and Google. So anybody who's interested in building a really hyper-local online presence, Alex did an absolutely incredible job of doing that. I would really encourage you to watch that. It is like a master's level course on how to build your business online. So if you haven't seen that one, I would check it out. The second thing that we had for January was actually Lindsay Listansky. And Lindsay did an amazing job of launching us off from a Coldwell Banker perspective on what is our marketing team doing, what is available to you. And it's kind of hard to pick the highlights of every one of these presentations, but what I felt was probably the highlight for me of Lindsay's presentation was the marketing catalog. So if you have not been on this site, themarketingcatalog.com, I would strongly recommend you go to that site. It breaks down everything that Coldwell Banker does from a marketing perspective, or at least the majority of what they do from a marketing perspective. And it's really user-friendly to the point where you could ingest all of the different, the different channels and the different, offerings that we have. Why I bring that up is I have never seen our marketing team put together an example of something like this in the past where it's all in one place and you could go page by page and actually access what you need depending on what your needs are at any given time. Strongly encourage you to take a look at that. Finally, for January, we had myself, and I talked about the Great Wave. The Great Wave is AI. And for those of you who want to really not necessarily dive into the intricacies of AI, but want to understand the impact that AI is having right now and where we're going with it, what I did was I actually brought a lot of notes together from Inman Connect in January of last year. And I took all these different speakers and I kind of put them all into one and then went through a whole launch on what AI means to all of you, what it means for our world, and why it matters. So that's kind of an intro course to AI, but certainly something that would be interesting to you if you're looking to dive into that topic. And then I had my beautiful daughters come, so I had to put that as a highlight because for me it was one of the highlights of the year, and I appreciate you guys indulging that. So when we got it to February, we had Jill Biggs come. For those of you who are looking to, Jill Biggs is the largest team in New Jersey from a production standpoint. She did an incredible job of going through what are the pitfalls of online leads and how to set up systems. If you have not seen it and you want to get some information, she was nice enough to give all sorts of resources to you guys that you could just download. So if you wanted to see what system she's using, what talk track she's using, and all of that, this is coming from one of the top teams in the country and the world, and she did an incredible job of breaking that down. I would strongly encourage you guys to not only check out this link, but check out the video because really it was, again, it's a master's class of what you need to know of how to convert online leads. Frank's here today, so thank you for coming. I agree. I had the pleasure of interviewing Frank, and he's such a gentleman always, but like in terms of like how he approached the business, if you want to like just think through how to, be a great agent, be a great human, and make sure that your clients are like being well taken care of, I don't think that there's a better course that you could, or a better interview you could watch. Frank did such a brilliant job of just showing kind of the difference that he brings to the table, both with his clients, but also with the real estate community. I really appreciated you coming out and doing your thing. And again, it's just like one of those things where if you want to aspire to how to do business, that's one you should watch. When Frank and I were talking, because I didn't realize, but my kids gave me, what the hell is it called? Impetigo. I was like, I looked ridiculous during this interview, and I didn't know it at the time, but I was like, what's going on with my face? So that was my highlight behind the scenes tour for February. All right, I also did a real estate event mastery class, and basically it was like, how do you actually build events in real estate? What I would suggest is if you're looking to build an event and you want to understand how to do it, this is a how-to guide. So it's a very simple way for you to actually grow your business. It was really about like linear thinking and lateral thinking. And the thought process behind it was not every person in here is comfortable with the microphone in their hand, and that's okay. What could you do to actually build events if you're not comfortable with the microphone in your hands? And there are a lot of different ways to go about that. If you are not here for that and you want to do events, I strongly recommend you coming in and taking some time to watch that. We get into March. March, we had our CEO of our company, Ryan Schneider. And it was kind of interesting in light of everything that transpired year to date with the acquisition, merger, and all that. But Ryan did a great job of really going into kind of a lay of the land of where the real estate world is. I would actually encourage every person to go back and watch it for no other reason than like listen to what he says in light of the fact that we have now merged and we're about to. And it's interesting to hear the talk tracks that he brought up, knowing what was to come. He knew what was to come. None of us in the room did. And it's just kind of like interesting to see that whole dynamic work out, but he did a really nice job for us. Then we also had this amazing panel, which is adversity to opportunity lead gen. If you're looking to get some ideas and understand directionally how to build your business, regardless of what challenges you have in front of you, these guys did an amazing job with that panel. And again, it's just like one more source of information for you. Marie Young, just another class act. My takeaway from Marie Young's session, $100 million producer, does an incredible job. What I would suggest, if you were looking to tap into your local neighborhood and be the neighborhood expert, be the person that everybody, in your area looks to as like the source of real estate expertise, that's what she did. Again, master level class on this, and there's no question about it. Anybody who was here, you couldn't not love her. I mean, and that's the takeaway that I had from that session. But really, it's a breakdown of like how to engage with the local neighborhoods and the people around you. We also had Coldwell Banker's YPN, and they're doing an awesome job. I want to shout out YPN, and there's a reason why I put this up here, because Joe Sarkar, the YPN group, they recently, this last week, and I think today or yesterday, they put together a toy drive that just concluded. And you have to see, if you haven't seen the videos online, I would really encourage you to take a look at them, because there's rooms full of toys that have been collected and donated by many of you in this room. And what they do with that is they have needy children and families. They come out and they can come out and like select toys for Christmas or for whatever holiday they're celebrating. And I just think it's like such an uplifting thing that I would recommend you guys take a look at that, because it's pretty cool that our community is able to do that. So April, we started with the Spark, and we had a really nice conversation about all different things real estate related. I'm not going to touch on that too much, but the reality is there are a lot of like interesting questions that were raised. If you want to go back and look at that, I think that it's something that was like thought-provoking is the point. Then we jumped into buyer agency panel, because if you recall, like now we're like 6 months out from everything that happened with buyer agency, and we're talking about best practices. So everybody in this room on one level or another, you're dealing with like changes in, in buyer agency, and you want to understand like, all right, like how do I put myself at advantage in this environment? This is the class that we really focused in on that. And then I talked about navigating exclusive listings. I would strongly say that this particular topic is going to become more and more and more important as time goes on. And so if you're somebody in this room that doesn't understand exclusive listings and doesn't know the difference between pricing strategies, between how you do an exclusive listing versus an MLS listing, and what are the benefits or the detriments to one or the other, you want to understand how to really master that, this is the course for you. And I did a deep dive on it. I gave you a lot of information about the history of like where we went with this and why we are where we are in our industry. I truly believe with the wars that are going on between Zillow and the real estate industry right now, all different brokerages, and now if you haven't paid any attention to this week, Google started testing direct advertising for real estate. Anybody who owns any like Zillow stock, you got crushed this week. And the reason it got crushed this week is because of that. Because when Google started testing out, to be a portal essentially, that changes the game. And that just happened. I'm telling you right now, this is like kind of the foreshadowing of a bigger issue to come. If you don't know anything about this world, take the time to watch this because it really will help you moving forward because it's happening. There's no question about it. It's happening and it's going to get worse and worse or better and better depending on how you look at it. So that's pricing strategies. In May, we had Tanya Rue Navarez, who is the head of HR. She's the chief people person. But really, Tanya was such an elegant leader and somebody who really just kind of like talked freely about the inner workings of how some of the largest real estate companies in the world actually work. And what we're trying to do moving forward to supply, you guys with the best resources and, the best people, the human capital. She did a brilliant job of that. So again, if you're interested in that, it's worth taking a look at. I did market mastery. I'm questioning for anybody who was here. You remember this answer? Since 1942, how many years have home prices dropped? It's 83 years. Anybody know the answer? 6. Nailed it. We got somebody who was listening. 6 times in 83 years. So if you're interested in statistics like that, and just like think about like how do you use that stat? Well, if you're having a conversation with a buyer and the buyer's saying, well, I'm going to wait for home prices to drop. Oh, really? 6 times in 83 years they've dropped. 6. Like that's not the strategy, is to wait for home prices to drop. And we talked about like all different stats just like that could help as talking points to get people to make decisions that they should be making, but they're hesitating on because they just don't understand the actual statistics behind it. 6 times is the answer. So June, we had such a brilliant group with Amy, Ben. They got up here, the property people, not the property people, the Good Life group, the foot and mouth. The Good Life group, they got up here and, essentially what I took out of, this was a long session, they did an incredible job, but what I took out of it is real estate partnerships. If you're somebody who's thinking about being partners with somebody in real estate, this to me is like almost like a must-watch prerequisite, conversation. They did a deep dive on it. It's probably like an hour and a half long, but it really highlighted what it meant to be partners with somebody in real estate and what that looks like. So that to me was high level what the biggest takeaway was. There's a lot that went into that. They did a lot on like leads and systems on that as well. But to me, it was all about real estate partnerships. I did a session, my AI self, on AI-powered growth. How can you use AI to actually stimulate your business? So in the beginning of the year, I talked about like a brief intro course about like why AI matters. This course is kind of next level of how to actually implement the tools to push yourself to the next level. Then we did a road show. We went down to Manalapan. And I will tell you, like, I'm actually interested in doing more of those road shows, coming into 2026. I thought it went really well. It was interesting. We got a different group of people. It wasn't just in Madison. So if you're someone that's coming from out of area and you want us to do it in your area, please come see me and I'm happy to try to arrange that. But the Manalapan Road Show was awesome. What we really got into was we did a little bit more on the buyer agency panel. and which was kind of a duplicate from what we had already done. But then we jumped into listing mastery. And we had some of like Alan Kurlander and Greg, these people are, everybody up here, I'm not degrading anybody, they're all incredible. But some of these people, you don't get to see Alan all the time. Like Alan is one of the top producers in the state of New Jersey, and it's not like a regular thing to have him come up on stage. So being able to listen to him, and I was taking notes as the God's honest truth. It was really it was a pretty cool session. So that's something that it is on. I'm sorry, I apologize. I don't have that one online because I don't have the video for that one. July and August, we took a nice break. September, we came back and we had Juan Carlos come. Juan Carlos did an absolutely incredible job breaking down how to build the infrastructure in teams related to VAs and the structures that you may need to scale. So if anybody's thinking about getting a VA, if anybody's thinking about putting structure in place on all right, what do I do from a personal assistant perspective? This is very high level, and it'll give you everything you need for the blueprints for that. And then I had the pleasure of interviewing Cyrus Mosheni from Orange County, $100 million producer from California. Cyrus, we did a conversation about life and systems and online leads and all sorts of different things. Really interesting guy. I think it's one of those sessions that it's just it's uplifting, and it's if you actually take the time to watch through it, you'll get something out of it and feel good about it. It's something that's if you're driving in the car and you want to listen to something and actually feel good about life, Cyrus is the way to go. October. I had the pleasure of interviewing Rob Norman back there. Thank you for coming. And listen, Rob, there's a lot of different ways that I could say this, but the overwhelming reaction that I got from that session across the board was this feeling of wow, he's just like one of us. He's one of us. He's a guy that you want to have a beer with, or he's the person that I felt really good about how he approached the business, and it just felt comfortable. And I heard that over and over again. And I think that to have the president of the company come out and have every person here realize that he's looking out for our best interests, and he's doing everything possible to try to do right in real estate, in life. That to me, I felt good about it. And I felt it was a really nice session. If you want to learn about who we are as a company and who our leader is, there's no better thing to watch than that, because I think that every single person in here who saw that could see this is the type of person I want to be associated with, and this is the company that I want to be associated with. And that to me is there's probably no better compliment I could give to a leader that comes up here and speaks. So congratulations to Rob on being who you are. I talked about compound growth. It was little things that you could do every single day to actually stimulate your business. And what I would say on that is when you think about going into 2026, yes, we all have these aspirational goals, but it takes little steps every single day to get you to where you want to go. And I think that if you're looking for what is a next step, because I'm lost, or we're going into the holiday season, I hope you guys all enjoy it, but if you feel hey, I need a little a jolt to my business, this is an easy place to start. It'll give you exactly what you need to do on a daily basis to put yourself and separate yourself coming into the new year. We also talked about emerging technologies. I had more people hit me up about this than anything that I've ever done at Growth Mastermind, which is kind of funny to me, but it's true. I probably had 100 people reach out to me in one way or another talking about this and asking about this, and it was pretty simple. It's just Cullove AI. So it's an AI technology that does virtual staging. If you want the link, all you got to do is use the QR code, and you'll get some access to it. But that's something that I heard from so many people, oh my God, that was mind-blowing. They actually are doing some really cool stuff right now. For those of you who join us tomorrow, which I'm going to put out in a little bit, but we have an online session tomorrow, and we're going to actually go into one piece of this. What Cullove is doing this month that I thought was really cool is you could take a picture of somebody's house, and they will decorate, God bless you, they will decorate that house virtually in holiday garb. So it's a really cool thing, and you could actually send your clients a picture of their house decorated for Christmas or for Hanukkah or for whatever. worth checking out. It's just a cool software. So for November, this was last month, Al Garcia. If anybody who was here didn't like get moved by that speech, like I don't, you need to like get checked for a pulse. I mean, the honest truth is like I absolutely love Al. I think he's like one of the best leaders I've ever met in my life. And you know, he came and gave a session of that which is necessary, which is all about like leadership. And he went into his military background and kind of what he lived through as an immigrant from Cuba. Really just like one of those things that to me it was like up there as one of my favorites that I've ever seen. So I would strongly recommend, if you have not watched that, take a chance to actually see it. And by the way, I apologize, but the last 2 months, I don't have the videos back. We switched videographers and it's been a little bit of a slower play. So I'm working on that. I didn't like ignore you guys. I promise they will go out. As soon as I have them, I will post it out for everybody. And then Patrick O'Connor, probably the MVP from from the perspective of like just the nuts and bolts of what to do in your business. This is such an awesome session. It's like, to me, like I almost want to take this session and have it be like must watch, like, viewing for every new agent. It's like you start in this business, you watch this session. Any agent that joins me from another company, watch this session. Any agent that needs to like get going in their business again, watch this session. It's that good. It really was. Like, I would happily welcome him back. Top producing agent from North and South Carolina, came up on his own dime to basically like, speak to all of you guys. He already told me that he'll come back. I do have one ask on this because I promised him, I offered this and I promised him that I would do it. I'm gonna send everybody in this room his Google review. If you guys could write him a review, I would really appreciate it, because he deserves it. It was awesome that he did that, and I want him to feel the love from all of us. So I will push that out to all of you guys. I talked about smart money moves, and basically the whole session was all about real estate investment. And the reason why I talked about real estate investment is because it was a precursor to what we're about to do starting in 2026, which is a whole investment series. And I am really committed to investing in real estate myself. Although I was telling Lindsay this, we were talking last night and we were texting, I don't even know what time it was, like it's almost midnight. And she was working on her presentation for today, I was working on mine, and I had literally like pipes freeze in one of my investment properties and they burst and it was just an absolute mess. We got through it all, but I just, it's one of those things that like, we don't always talk about that. Like we always talk about like the sunshine and roses of like, oh, I made this much money off of this investment. But the reality is like, there's that too. There's like preparing for a session and having pipes break and water spray all over and the fire department come and having to get the HVAC fixed and like all the nightmare related to that. What we're gonna do in the sessions coming forward with Reinvested is talk about that stuff. Is like, how do we set ourselves up properly to not have to deal with those issues? So December, and obviously I was supposed to go last, but we have the lovely Ann Singer, who's gonna be coming up and breaking it down with Ellen Gonick, our top producing solo agent, who's incredible in her own self. But she's gonna be talking about social media as a performance. I had to say that title because I think I was gonna get stabbed later today if I didn't. But the reality is if you guys want to learn about social media and like the do's and the don'ts, this is such an awesome presentation. You're in for a treat. And I already talked about Ellen. And then finally, we're going to have Lindsay come up and speak to, welcome to the Attention Olympics is the topic, but really what it is, all right, like, so how do you build an online identity in this new world of AI? And I think that she's going to do a brilliant job because I've already seen the slides. All those videos, with the exception of last month and the month before, are online. The others will get posted soon. And I want to just end, because I just felt like, I hope this was helpful to you for those who weren't here for every session. You got a little bit of a preview of what we did, but I just wanted to do a quick recap and ask you a couple questions. So my recap is this: we did 11 growth masterminds in 2025. Of those 11, we had 44 total speakers, which were awesome, as we just outlined, and I was very excited to see who we had. And I already have a pretty incredible lineup set up for 2026. 17 total presentations, 5 panels, 7 interviews, and 2 beautiful little girls. So I was really excited about what we did, this year, and thank you guys for being a part of it. My question to you is, how many unique visitors did we have based on signups for Eventbrite? 620? How many people, have attended the sessions in 2025? Unique people. So if you came twice, you don't count. You count once. You're still unique. You're all special, but how many people? Any question? Any answers? 500? 1,200? 2330. 2,330 people joined us this year, which I think is pretty awesome. So thank you guys so much for being a part of what we're doing. I feel like we touched a lot of people this year. So I want you guys to all stand up if you came to every one of our sessions. I want to clap for these people. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. All right, so what's next? This is really at the heart of why I wanted to go through this. I'm curious, I would love to hear, is there a speaker that you really want? Is there a topic that you really want? Because right now I'm in planning stages for 2026. So is there something that you're like, I want this topic, this would be really helpful for my business? If you don't feel comfortable shouting it out loud, come see me after, but if you do, I would love to hear it. Please.
I would love to see a back and forth.
Hold on.
I would love to see a role play of an agent who gets the listings with the client and how that can go down. And I'm not referring to myself because I just winged it.
I know somebody who would love to do that.
Okay.
Will Alfaro. Will would be awesome at that. I'll talk to Will. He would do that. So a role play between an agent and a client to go get a listing. I will be a thorny client. Anybody else? Any other?
Wait, I want to be the client.
Oh man, I feel bad for Will.
Because I know all the things that they say to me where I'm like, what is wrong with you with that question? But yes.
I will have a conversation with Will. I know I just put him on the spot in front of 200 people, but I'm sure he'll do it. If I tell him you're the client, I don't know.
Yeah, he'll do it.
Anybody else? Anybody have a topic that you really want to hear about? Please.
No offense to the ladies who are coming in today. I'm sure you guys are fantastic, but I would just say more social. It changes so fast.
Yep.
I mean, every 6 months would not be soon enough.
So I already am going to solve for that because tomorrow's session, online, if you guys want to make it, and it will be recorded and on YouTube if you can't be there, but tomorrow's session is all about social media. And the two gentlemen that I'm speaking with, Juan and Cyrus, Cyrus has 120,000 followers. And Juan is building by tens of thousands a month. I'm going to speak very little tomorrow. Let's put it that way. They're excellent at what they're doing. I promise you, I will show you the slide on the breaks, and at the end there will be 3 different sessions that you could RSVP for right now. All right. So I promise I'll put that up. All right. So social media. Anything else? Sue and Jerry Jacob. I have invited Jerry so many times, you don't even know. If I could get Jerry Jacob up on stage, Sue too. That's no disrespect to Sue because they're both brilliant. But I will happily make that happen. I would sign up for, they could do January. Speaking of January, global luxury. So many of you guys have reached out to me in regards to global luxury and wanting to, understand more about the program and everything. I have top people from global luxury that are flying in from all over the country. I'm really excited. That's January session. I also have the top agent from Connecticut that's going to be coming in. That's going to be speaking about global luxury as well. Absolutely brilliant session. If you want to learn anything about luxury real estate, there's no question that January is the session to come to. Okay? All right, we're going to keep it moving. Thank you guys as always. I do want to give a couple more thank yous. Every manager in the room, I really appreciate you because the reality is this is not by myself. I understand that every single person in here is supportive. I understand that you guys are really doing a nice job of making sure that there are bodies here to actually listen to what we're doing. So thank you guys for the support. I want to give a round of applause to Rob Norman, because Rob, he allows this, is the truth of it. He's the president's company. This is not cheap. This costs money every month. We do it for free because we want to make sure that we give back to all of you guys, but that's a cultural thing that comes from the top. And I just really appreciate the fact that we're able to do this, because this is not by any means a guarantee. Most companies, every single person I talk to that comes from another company always says, oh my God, we don't have this. I hear that every single time. So the reality is like that starts from the top, and it obviously, is about all of you. Really appreciate the fact that you guys, support this. So upcoming events, I'm going to put this up at the end, but the conversation, that's tomorrow. That's specifically about social media. This month is all about social media. I'll just leave that up for 1 second. And I promise you I'm going to put these up at the end, and then I'm just going to bounce right over to the other presentations that we have. The next one is Growth Mastermind, January 7th. I'm going to make this really simple. Reinvested, they're all three right here. So those are the three that we have. January 21st is the location is TBD. And I'm going to tell you why. It all depends on how many people sign up. Because if we have a room of 300 people, I'm going to need a different size auditorium. I don't think I'm going to do it here, at least for the first month. And the only reason why is it's not available. The space is not available for the first month. And I want to start in January. But we are going to do that every month moving forward. The first month for Reinvested, if you want to know what the topic is, it's very simple. It's cash on cash return. If you are an investor and you want to understand how to evaluate investment properties, or if you are working with investors and you want to understand how to guide them through evaluating investment properties, or if you are working with investors on the list side and you want to get them to understand how to price their house correctly to actually move, that's the session for you. That's the far right. Global Luxury is in the middle. Tomorrow is social media. And I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn it over to Anne.